Welcome to another week of the Gen X guys. You got JD and Len here,
Hey,
as,
hey,
as always.
as always. How's everything? How you doing? How was your week?
Exciting as always.
Really?
Yeah, I mean,
Is exciting the right word?
Isn't constant. Like, we don't really need to go into my constant issues. Yes, it was fine. It was fine.
It was fine.
It is
It
what
was
it
fine.
is.
It is what it is.
There's nothing exciting that happened this week. Doctors, stuff like that. Nothing
Just living
thrilling.
life.
Living the dream, brother. Just living the dream.
Just living the dream.
Whatever that dream
What about
is.
the Olympics? How about the Olympics? And anything?
Okay, let's
exciting
start off
happened?
right now because the Olympics literally just did probably about an hour ago, a little under an hour ago. The U.S. men's hockey team took on Canada for the gold medal. And last time we actually won a gold was in 1980, which is the Miracle on Ice game, as everybody knows. 2-1 winner in overtime.
Just like the women's. Like the women's.
Did you watch the game?
The same team. I actually did.
The whole game or caught most of the ending?
The second, more of the second half. Yeah, I got up a little late. I forgot it was on.
That's fine. By
the time I watched it, it was. But yeah,
they moved up the game time too. Like,
did
it was supposed to start originally, I think, closer to 5:20. I think they moved it up a little bit, not by much, but still. Right. I didn't catch the beginning either. I mean, being West Coast, 5:20.
Hard.
It's a little early, but.
Yeah, but I was up at 6 anyways. But honestly, I was up early enough to catch more of it, but it wasn't until I saw a feed saying about like the live play-by-play going on commentary. I was like, oh shit! So I wanted to watch it. But kind of crazy.
Good game.
I mean, same score. Same everything, and also like. I thought the women's break. I don't know if we call it break. I'm not a huge hockey fan, but like the move in the women's to kind of get open to take the shot at the goal was a little more, at least to somebody who doesn't know hockey very well. It was a little bit more impressive. There's kind of like a little bit of similarities to how that last shot went in. It was like this, got away from the one defender and then it was just that person and the goalie. It was kind of cool.
Yeah. No, that's a good call. I mean, interestingly enough, I think for the U.S. women had just dominated throughout the whole round robin play and even into the quarterfinal, semifinal. I mean, it wasn't even close.
Right. No.
They even beat up Canada 5-0, during round robin
earlier,
play.
Right.
But yeah, whenever gold medals on the line, Canada stepped up, played really well against U.S. women. I was concerned there. I mean, they had to tie it up and then end up winning it in overtime. So that was the toughest game they had the whole tournament or the whole Olympics was that game. And then on the men's side, there were a lot of games that went in to the golden goal or the sudden death, as they call it, where, let's see, Canada in the previous game had to go to overtime against Finland. Or no, I take that back. They didn't. They won that 3-2 straight up. The game before that, the quarterfinals, both U.S. and Canada had to go into sudden death games, both winning those. So there's a chance we wouldn't have seen it. And then this one goes to sudden death. So it's been actually a pretty good Olympics when it comes to the hockey matches. They've been really good.
And there's been a lot of shit talking.
Well, yeah, I figure Canada and U.S. have a lot of teammates on each team who now are going back to continue their season this week.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's no doubt a lot of shit talking is going to still happen. Bragging rights, so to speak.
It's bragging rights, yeah.
Yeah.
It's, there's always going to be the national pride type thing. And it's just, even though, they care about NHL, like the Olympics is also like one of those dream scenarios. Everybody wants to win the World Series or, whatever the championship game is, but there's always something special about winning gold. Every 4-year type thing, just the mystique around it is really cool.
That's true. Yeah. It's a good point because, I mean, they always have like the world championships where countries play against each other. And, the U.S. hockey won the world championships, I think, last year. Mm-hmm. And so, but they didn't win the Four Nations contest. They ended up losing that one, which was a hockey NHL thing, which was pretty interesting.
Oh, right.
So they lost the Four Nations, but I guess they won the world championships, if I remember correctly. But yeah, you're right. Like, you'll win Stanley Cups, you'll win World Series titles, NBA titles, whatever it is. These are all great times. But when you can win one in the Olympic, because it only happens every 4 years, and your chance of ever being on that team can be slim depending on your health every 4 years or what it's at. To go in and play for your country and win that gold, yeah,
Yeah.
definitely I think holds a much longer. I mean, the titles will always be important too, but I think
Okay.
the camaraderie you get with your own American teammates to win, a title or gold is huge.
Right. It's just like World Cup in a way, right? I mean, the World Cup only happened how many
Every
years?
4 years, yeah.
It is 4 years, okay. But it's like the same thing, right? Wasn't Messier who didn't win a World Cup for how many years, and he
His
finally
whole
won
career
one?
until he won the last one with
Yeah.
Argentina. Yeah,
Hey, are you impressed? I actually remember that.
yeah. What'd you
Um,
say his name
I
was,
I
by the
met
way? Say his name again.
Messier. What'd I say?
It's
What'd I say?
Messi, not Messier.
Just Messi. Did I say Messier? Shit. Okay, I
Yeah, you
fucked
said
it
it
up.
twice. That's why I asked you. So
Ah,
yeah, it's fine. You at least were aware. I mean, you didn't
and
get
at
his
least
name quite
I made
right.
the attempt.
It was
Yeah.
there. It was there. It's close enough. You're fine.
But I mean, yeah, I mean, and it's always that one because and especially with the sports like, um, that you don't like in a game like a hockey game, and not to take away from it, but in a hockey game, you always have a chance, even if you're down 2-0, you always have a chance to kind of redeem and come back. It's like any type of but some of those other sports that you do are, one little mistake just can end it. I mean, it's just there's so many of those events that you don't have a redo. You either come
True.
out and be perfect or you lose that opportunity. It's I can't imagine is just a intense amount of pressure that puts on somebody that you have like one ski run, you have one routine, one whatever to do, and it's 3 minutes that you've been training for your whole life. It's just I think it's an amount of pressure that you know people just I mean we can't imagine because it's everything is so condensed. I mean we have pressure in our day-to-day lives, but imagine taking all that pressure and condensing it down into just one moment. It's just
Right.
to me it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable that they when you see them hold the composure and then even more just it means so much more when you see how much they express themselves afterwards. Like when they do it perfect, right? Where they just like their emotions just pour out is really cool. I think that's what
Yeah.
makes the Olympics really special, though.
Oh, I agree. Because, again, it's not only every 4 years thing, every 2 years between the summer and winter. So at least every 2 years you have some form of Olympics, which wasn't always the case. It
Right?
used to be together, tied together.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah,
Oh,
it's a
shit,
good
yeah.
point. I mean, there's a lot of emotion goes into it. People who are the best in class can lose, are best in the world and win the world titles year after year can suddenly lose because, and they all say it, the Olympic pressure is slightly different. Maybe it's because it's only every 4 years and it is your country and it is that one moment you have a chance to win it versus every year you can come back, right, and try
Right,
again.
right.
So yeah, it's interesting. Now I was disappointed, although it was a great run in curling for the women's curling team. They ended up losing to Canada actually in the
Yeah.
bronze medal match. So I was up early morning yesterday for that one too. That started around 5 a.m. So I was up at 6, caught that one.
I just can't do it.
Dude,
I just
curling
can't.
is compelling. I mean, you got to watch it. It is.
I've tried. I honestly I don't get the attraction.
n-
I really don't.
I get it. I
I
get
honestly
it.
I'm just being honest. I sit there and watch and like it's bocce ball. It's a
It's
million
not.
other
It's
game.
not. But yes, it is. It's
It's
also yeah, it's not. But no, I know what you're saying because it's
I'm only
also
relating it to there's so many different ones. There's like the skee
shuffleboard.
ball.
I mean, it's
Skee
shuffleboard.
ball.
Yeah,
Actually, skee ball is probably the more appropriate one because you're actually
I-
using your hands.
true. But shuffleboard's also the one where you're pushing them to a spot to knock another one out.
Yeah, it's the same to me. Look, no disrespect to anybody who plays it, especially I don't care about the people who watch it, but the people who play it and put everything they have into it. But it's just it doesn't compel me.
It's fine. You have no coordination, so it's understandable. Anything that requires heavy coordination like that and eyesight
Okay,
is a
I
struggle.
can
It's a
I
struggle. It's a
love
struggle.
watching gymnasts, but I can never even
Oh,
think
I'm not
imagine
going to
doing
do
what they
that.
do. So that's irrelevant whether I can do it or
Oh,
not.
I think
And
it's
I know
relevant.
that.
I think it's relevant.
Do they use regular shoes? I mean, or do they have like special shoes made to be able to do that?
Oh, for the ice? Oh, I'm sure
Yeah,
there's
I'd have
special
to
shoes.
imagine it had
Yeah.
to be like
I
special
got it.
soles or
Yeah.
whatever. They're not just fucking getting in their fucking Jordan 1s or something.
Right. Yeah. Running out on
That'd be
their
kinda funny
space
though.
jams, trying to see how well they can slide across there. Yeah. But yeah, now the
Yeah,
Olympics
that'd
are
be cool.
over. That was it. That was the last real match. What's that? That's it. Now it's closing ceremonies tonight,
Yeah.
and then in 2 years here in America, the Summer Games.
Yep, 2
Should be
years.
fun.
Well,
Yeah,
also isn't, when is it Utah that's gonna do the Winter Olympics in either 4
next
or
one.
8 years?
I
Is the
think
next one?
so. I can't remember who gets the
Which
next one in the 4 years. I have to look.
which it was kinda interesting because they were just showing, they were showing it I wanna say it was Utah, but they were just showing that they had very little snow, when these Olympics were happening. Of course, I think it changed this week or something like that, but still, it's just one of those things where, unless you go to an area that's just snow 24,
Right.
365 a year, anything can happen. But it's not like Utah doesn't get a shit ton of snow, so they
Right.
should be fine. But you just never know.
It's actually going to be in France next time in the French Alps in 2030.
Okay. So
So,
it's 34 then.
yeah, I think 34 is where the Salt Lake City will host it. So
Okay.
in about 10 years, well, 8 years, they need to figure out a way to generate snow.
Or just make sure that, global warming doesn't hit it hard enough that they can actually have snow.
Yeah. Or U.S.
It's
starts
not global
doing
warming. No, it's climate change. So it's not.
it's climate change, whatever it is. Well, I would say this. What and for this Olympics, obviously two host cities basically managed it because they were in two different locations, Milan and Cortina, I believe it was. I know I'm saying the other one wrong, but I mean, maybe the U.S. needs to look at that. Maybe for Winter Games, it's not just Salt Lake City; it's they get another city that actually has consistent snow.
Well, I
Like
wonder if it's
Tahoe.
Salt Lake City or
Tahoe would be crazy. Squaw Valley used to host.
Squaw
Remember
Valley.
Squaw Valley did it in the past,
Yeah,
but
it did it. Yeah.
you have a better chance
I
to
mean,
have more consistent snow up there than you do in Salt Lake City.
now, to be fair, though, we don't know if it's Salt Lake City or like 15, 20, 30 miles away from Salt Lake City. They could be saying Salt Lake City just as a regional thing because, Utah, what other cities are there in Utah?
Well, it's Salt Lake City, dude. That's going to be
Yeah.
where it's at. But to your point, yeah, I mean,
But how close? We don't know exactly where.
all the main events like hockey, curling, figure skating, bobsleds, all that'll probably be held inside Salt Lake City because you can do it indoor, right? You can do it indoor and create those events. It's more this half pipe, downhill skiing, all that stuff will require
Skiing ones,
that'll require actual natural elements more likely. Or, I mean, you can make a half pipe with man-made snow, I guess.
Yeah, but still.
Yeah, it's not the same. So we'll see. Well, hey, they got 8 years. We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
But yeah, this year you got the World Cup in the U.S. So the World Cup's here.
And you're
2
going
years.
to the games, right?
I am. I'm going to one of the games.
LA?
Yeah, in LA.
Yeah.
So Father's Day weekend, we'll be down in LA. We'll be watching. Who is it? Are we watching again? I think it's Egypt against Belarus. I believe are the two. So you don't get to really pick your games. You just kind of were thrown in a lottery. You picked your time and day, ideally. Right. So we got the Belarus, Egypt. You didn't even know who was in the draw. You just picked the day and time, and then you waited to see what the draw was.
I'm sure they do that on purpose, just to make sure that they sell out every game because
of course,
you don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting because Egypt has Mo Salah, who's a really good player. Maybe he'll, that could be fun. And Belarus is one of the better teams in the world. So,
but I would imagine, I mean, for
probably
somebody
6-0,
like you,
6-1.
For like a natural hockey fan, I mean, a soccer fan, you probably would have still gone to the game regardless of who was in it.
Oh yeah.
Because it's kind of it's the experience. No, I meant like even if you knew who it was, you would have been like, okay, well, it's unfortunate, like it wasn't somebody who you wanted to see, but you probably still would have went because it's an experience.
Agreed. Yeah, I mean, these are one of those experiences you'd love to be part of. I mean, like going to a Super Bowl would be great, but it's so goddamn costly. Super Bowl, World Series would be fun to go to.
Actually, that's funny. Let's do it. I mean, in terms of rankings, what would you want to go see the most? I mean, barring money, of course. I mean, and travel and location. Like, there's so many variables that, I mean, you can nitpick all you want, but like in terms of a major sporting event, which is like the one, And maybe like, not just a normal World Cup game, but like one of the semifinals or like up
Sure.
there.
Yeah.
Like,
Like, what's the one sporting event you would want to see the most? Well, to your question, I think how I would say it, the most would be if my team I'm cheering for is in it first and foremost.
of course,
Like,
that changes everything.
so I'd say of all the sports, that's a great question because I think about it, I'm like, well, game
Yeah.
7 of an NBA Finals would be great, or a clinching game, but most likely game 7 would be fun because just the experience there for the Lakers would be one of the top ones for
Okay,
my
well,
But really, but the Niners in the
uh,
Super Bowl, watching the
let's
Niners
make
play
it
the
easier.
Super
Like,
Bowl.
if you say like either a clinching game or your team in it, so whether it's like, you know, the Giants or the Yankees in the World Series and it's game 7, 49ers in the Super Bowl, Cowboys, if they ever make it in the playoffs. Um,
They make it in the playoffs, Dick. It's more the Browns whether they ever make it in the playoffs. You should be talking about your own fucking teams. Don't worry about others. Worry about your own crappy teams.
I don't worry about them. They're just not going to do it, so it's not even relevant.
Who are
But
your
okay,
teams?
but given that, like even with World Cup and like if it was World Cup and U.S. somehow made it to, into one of the podium type games. I mean, for me, obviously, it would be the Browns in the Super Bowl. I mean, that's like there's just no
Yeah.
question to me. But I mean, for you, what would it be?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I don't know. I mean, it's hard. I can't think of one that comes out. I mean, there's so many events. There's not one that ever stuck in my mind. Like, God, I wish I could make sure I do that before I die. Right? Like, or
Yeah,
that would be the best scenario before I'm gone off this earth would be to see. Yes, I think Niners in the Super Bowl is still my primary. Niners
yeah.
winning the Super Bowl while I'm watching at the Super Bowl is what would be ideal. But even just regardless of the outcome, the point is, yeah, going like the Niners were out here in Vegas 2 years ago against or 3 years ago, really now
Yeah.
against the Chiefs. It was so expensive. I didn't want to spend like 3,000 for a ticket. So that
And
becomes
it's
more
also,
like if I was given a choice without cost. To your point, yeah, that would have been the one.
yeah, I mean, actually, when I've thought about it, I don't even know if even the Browns in the Super Bowl because it's one thing when you're like I can see like a baseball game, going to a Guardians for me or like going to a Giants one for you. You going to a home game, you still expect, and I don't know. I mean, for baseball, if it's this case, but you expect that the home team still would have home field advantage. Like I remember watching, of course, like the Cavs and Warriors game 7. They were playing it in Oakland, and it was still a majority Warriors fans. But when you watch football, it's not even just how expensive it is; it's the atmosphere. Like when you look at the stadium, I mean, maybe half the fans are wearing jerseys related to the team that's playing, the teams that are playing.
Mhm.
So I think the hard part for Super Bowl for me is I would expect the Browns to lose. I mean, I'd just be happy that they got there finally, so I can at least say that they got to the Super Bowl. But I would expect that they would lose up until the point where even if they were up by 50 points, with 2 minutes left, I would still expect them to lose somehow. Um, but it wouldn't be the same experience, where
Debbie Downer did by 50 points with 2 minutes to go. They'd still lose. Sorry, I just couldn't
um,
let that one go. I think that's okay. I get it. I
that's
think
the Browns.
people who are listening should realize the depth of a true Cleveland fan. The reality is that they would love to see it, but deep down they know
I
it'll
wouldn't be
never
able to watch it.
happen.
I actually, not only that, I don't know if I'd be able to watch the game. I mean, look, when the Browns were up 28-0 on the Steelers in the playoffs, I still expected them to lose.
Fair.
And we didn't, and it made it closer than it should have been. But I don't know. I mean, I think that the not only the cost of the Super Bowl, but also the experience is just it's you're not watching it from a fan. It's more of an event
Mhm.
type thing. So yeah, I mean, thinking about it, I don't know. I mean, I don't know which one I'd want to see. I think that there's certain events I 100% want to go to, like bucket list. To me, one of them is Ohio State, Michigan at Ohio State. Yeah, I
Sure.
think if
Yeah, the
there's
big game. Yeah.
one I mean, of course, actually seeing a Browns game at home, which I've never done. Browns game in Cleveland. obviously, is up there as well. But I think in terms of like pure bucket list, it's experiencing being an Ohio State fan, experiencing a college game, one of those rivalries. Whether you rank wherever you rank Ohio State and Michigan, up there with the other rivalries, it to me is irrelevant. It's still one of those ones where the experience has to be just incredible to see. So I think that, and even maybe to your point, I would still love to see like a major soccer game in Europe. Getting that experience. I think to me more it would be about the experience as much as it would be about who's playing, because
Yeah,
like I said, college football is in the U.S. is unrivaled in terms of the overall fan experience, and I think the only thing like that you can compare with soccer experience in Europe and other parts of it. And I shouldn't just say Europe, Latin America, and so on. But
right.
yeah, I don't know.
So let me
That,
ask you this, because you brought up an interesting point. Like, a place to go. Like, I would love to see Manchester United play at Old Trafford. Never been there. Would love to watch them live in their actual stadium before they end up building a new one, which is what they're going to be doing at some point here soon.
right.
But is there anything sports or musical bands or anything like that in the past that are no longer really, you can't be part of, or whatever, or you can't attend? Maybe it's more music, bands and whatnot that you wish you'd seen, but you never got to.
I don't think so.
If you turn back the
Mm,
clock, you'd want to go see.
I saw. I mean, it's kind of weird now being as much as I am to K-pop, but I
Trying
saw
to drop
Van
the K.
Halen.
They're all trying to drop the K now, from what I've heard. They're starting to say we should stop
There's
dropping, get rid of this
it was
K-pop and just call it what it is, pop.
no, it's still a genre to me. To
It
me,
is
I
for
mean, like,
now. I know. I'm saying they're talking about they should drop the K. I don't know if they will, but
there's nobody talking about that. It's American.
no, there's plenty of people talking about it.
No, there's not. Who?
Yeah, in the
Who?
media, all over, even out of the
Idiots.
Korean director and whatnot, and producers are saying we should probably drop the K.
No, they're
They're
not.
not saying do it. They're saying they should consider it,
It,
because it's no longer they feel like it's a detriment in some ways too, especially when it comes to award shows and whatnot.
I can see the war shows, but the thing is, if they didn't have that something, that they would never win.
Yeah, I don't want to sidetrack you. Get back to the
All right.
thought. So anyway, what was it?
But no. I mean, I saw like the only one, and I saw them live twice was Van Halen with Sammy Hagar. So that was really in maybe Def Leppard when they were younger, but I don't know. I don't really know if I have anybody.
I
And
do.
for stadiums, I even though I hate the Yankees, I would have. I think if there is one for a sports one, it would have been
The
Yankees
old
in
Yankee Stadium. Yep.
old Yankee Stadium. I think might be the only one sports related that I would really say is Mystique. But then there's Fenway. Would am I going to see?
Wrigley.
In Wrigley Field, yeah. I think
Yep.
actually I think about more. I think it's funny that it's baseball. Like none of the football stadiums mean anything anymore.
No.
I
Yeah.
mean, and even in the past, I think maybe Soldier Fields would be
Lambeau.
one. Lambeau, yeah, no, Lambeau. I
I
guess I'm
mean,
wrong.
those two right there are probably the two most well known and longest sort of stadiums as far as being around. Lambeau definitely is the oldest. Soldier Field's about to go away in a few years because they're going to build a new one.
Right. I don't know. I did think I would definitely pick Lambeau over Soldier Field, which I'm sure people in Chicago would.
Frozen tundra. There
Yeah,
you go.
I think there's more of a mystique because of all the championships and like the early NFL days with the Packers. There's the fan ownership of things. So I think that would actually probably be the one that if it was for football, I think Lambeau would 100% be it. Baseball nowadays, I mean Wrigley's probably the only one. Wrigley and Fenway, I think would be seeing the Green Monster would be really cool. Um, but either one of those two for baseball. I mean, Yankee would have been number one if it was still around. Um, Basketball or hockey, oh no, actually no. I guess I got to stop saying no when before I really think about it, because
Yeah,
there's of
that'd
course
be good.
Madison Square Garden and
Eh,
Boston.
no, Boston's a new arena.
It's a new arena.
Yeah,
When did they wait? When did that?
the
I'm
Garden's
on
been
this.
gone for a long time, just like the Forum's been gone for a long time.
Why not the four?
Well, the Forum's been gone longer than the Garden was. They're in a new arena.
How do
And yeah, you got to stop saying no. You can't be the no guy all
I
the
know,
time.
I know.
Come
I
on,
am
pull
the
it
no guy,
together.
and I think
Be a
about it
little bit
night
more
and day.
open minded for Christ's sake. I
No,
hate to work
no,
for guys who are
no,
the no guys. No,
no, no,
I got no.
no, I'm
Don't
not.
talk to me. Go somewhere else. But actually, you brought up some interesting ones. Like I hate. I'm not a Boston fan, clearly, which is funny because I'm Irish. But I've never lived in the East Coast, so I'm not a Boston fan. So I'm not tied to
Yeah,
that. But you bring up a good point. Like to me, Fenway Park. The thing I like about when I go to these old long stadium, that have been around for generations, basically like Wrigley, Lambeau, or Fenway. It's
mm,
just you go into this, and especially like Fenway or Wrigley. I mean, these were games that were being watched back in the 20s. People were sitting in those stands.
right.
I mean, just think about it. It's been 100 years. People were back there at that time, and that's still being used today. Like the history behind it is the more exciting
Amazing.
factor for me. More than watching the game, it's more about the history tied to that. And so Fenway, a lot of history for that one.
Yeah,
Old Yankee Stadium, yeah, it would have been. The new
obviously,
one, I've been to the new one, but it's okay.
it's not
Um,
the same. Like you
no,
said,
it's not.
there's none of the the ghosts that
Correct.
was there.
Almost all the titles exist in the old stadium, so none of them really exist in the new stadium.
Right.
Um, and Wrigley, same thing. I mean, it's just been around like forever for Chicago, and same with Lambeau. But yeah, that's what I like about when I go to these is to travel to get that sense of the history behind it, knowing that I'm sitting in a seat that probably someone sat in 100 years ago. I mean, sure, they've changed the seat itself, maybe, but the
It's still
context is
the
someone
concept.
was
Yeah,
there, like 100 years ago, and it's still
yeah.
around. And for me, when I think about going back, I'm thinking about okay, in the '80s, was there something I wish I'd seen that I never got to see? There's a couple. One would have been Journey with Steve Perry. That would have been
Oh shit, that's a
fantastic to
good
see.
one. Yeah. No, no. Actually, yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah, I mean, but I mean, you have to think about this. I get why
I have no memory.
there's always some things you wish, especially later on in life, you were able to have done or you could have seen.
Mm,
Because you always think it's going to be around, right? Like you
yeah,
always think they're going to be there. And the older
Journey's a
we've
good one.
got, yeah, and the older we've gotten, I mean, recently in the last, 2 weeks, so many people have passed away from a
Yeah,
celebrity standpoint.
yeah, yeah.
And I was thinking about this, and I'm like, the reality is you start seeing these celebrities pass away from Robert Duvall, who was fantastic in a lot of movies, but he was more of a secondary character in most movies. He wasn't even the primary. Most people
Yeah.
don't even realize that. I mean, Tom
That's a
Hagen
good
from
question, yeah.
what's that?
No, no, no. That's a good point. Wouldn't even thought about that.
Neither had I until someone made mention. That I'm like, you're right. I mean, I always considered him like a supporting
Eh,
role, but not like
Yeah,
that much of a secondary character like he was in some.
yeah.
Um,
I mean, of course, he was a leading in some movies, but
yeah,
it's
of course, he wasn't
probably better
always
known.
just this, but he was. Yeah, he's in a lot of a secondary role. You have Robert Duvall pass away. I mean, he was 95, so he lived a long life.
Which is fine. Yeah,
Yeah, and so that
it's
was.
expected.
But it's sad to see, primarily because I mean, we were born in the beginning of the 70s. And so, we've been around for a long time. And he had a lot of movies during our time growing up. And so you kind of attach your life growth with, the experience you've had. He's part of those experiences.
Oh,
So to see
100%.
that person pass away, or Jesse Jackson, being that obviously from a political standpoint, following everything he did back in the 80s, running for trying to get the Democrat nominee and so forth.
Yeah, remember that.
I mean, he was a big vocal voice too, and he was 85, but still, again, it's another loss. And so you're starting to see these losses. So for me, that's where I'm saying it kind of brings me back to like, after all these years, there's things I wish I could have at least seen, because you always wait and wait, and then you start to realize, okay, it's not going to happen. So, or it's too late, you blew it. Like I'm never going to see Journey with Steve Perry. There was recent rumors this week that Steve Perry may come back for a tour, and he turned that down, which is expected. He was never going to come
Yeah.
back.
Never.
Why? Why would he go on a tour? It's 76 or whatever his age is now. So, but yeah, that to me is the stuff I'm thinking about when I'm saying, wish I could have gone back and done, would be primarily to go see experiences like that. Phil Collins in concert actually would have been fantastic.
Yeah, it would have been.
I mean, he has a great
I
set.
think there's a lot of that.
Yeah.
I think one of the things that I always think of is like they were showing clips of Duvall in Godfather. Some of the older ones, his earlier stuff, the ones that
Of
was
course,
like
yeah.
late 70s, right?
Apocalypse
Or
Now.
the 80s. Apocalypse Now, 100, yeah. And I think the crazy part is like you look at them and you're like, like you said, it's a snapshot of who we were at that time too, because you look at that age and it's like I kind of explained this before to somebody. It was like how we look at our children. You know, it's hard to look at them who they are today because you see them do something and it reminds you of what they did 15 years ago, or
Right.
you kind of you see them as a spectrum. You don't really just see them as even though they're adults now, they're not young adults or full on adults, but it's like when you see celebrities, like you said, though, we grew up with them. They were not a part of our life, but they were a part of our life experiences. And then
Right.
you think about all those movies that you see them in, and they were like this constant presence for especially actors, right? Actors and athletes. There were those times in our lives where they were very present in our day-to-day lives. Like, think about us in the '80s with Montana and Rice and, those type of players that were local ones. You saw them
Hmm.
everywhere. You saw commercials with Montana and Dwight Clark and, Jerry Rice. Jerry Rice was never good in commercials. Um, if you're a Bay Area fan, you in
Well,
in
I
the
mean, he
'80s, you
tried.
remember he tried, but he was just not a very he had no he just stick to sports. He didn't have the acting chops. But I mean, it was still all those people were active parts in our lives, whether, you like him or not or whatever, but you saw them like Robert Duvall, like you saw him constantly throughout the '70s and '80s. It's
Right.
just a constant thing. And of course, what's crazy is that you'll see some of the people who like God, I'm blanking on his name, but there's just so many actors that now who you see who retired from public life like at a certain age, like at 70 or 80, right? Like they
Yep.
just decided to drop out. They wanted to relax, and you haven't seen or heard about them in 20 years, and all of a sudden you see a recent photo of them. And of course, like you said, they're 85, 90 years old or whatever, and you're like, "Holy shit, is that them?" And it's not that we don't don't acknowledge that they got old. It's you see them how they were 30, 40 years ago.
Right.
Also, when you see them old, and I think especially for guys our age, for people our age, it's like, "Holy shit, I'm coming up on that." Because you look at like a Duvall when he did Apocalypse Now and all that, he was younger than we are today
Correct.
when he did that.
But he
And
loved the
now
smell of napalm in the morning.
he did, which is one
And
of
that
the
is a
greats.
great scene. I know most people probably haven't seen Apocalypse Now in current generation,
Right.
or the younger generation specifically. But
Yeah.
and it probably not the best movie to go jump into. You got to like really be into very. Uh, I'm
It's
trying to think of the best way to explain what it is. It's a war movie, obviously. Apocalypse Now.
you have to take it for what it is. You can't go into it with a certain sentiment. You have to
Don't
understand
expect any humor.
very
How about that? Not really.
absolutely no humor. I mean,
I mean, there's
that's
kind
not
of comments they make, but the reality is it's not humorous. No, it's a
but,
very
like, I think
serious.
people laugh now or think, like, the napalm in the morning as, like, a joke scene or, like, "Oh, that's such a great line," but it really isn't, like, a joke line.
No, and it's about the
It
Vietnam
was
War. And you
it was
think about when the movie was made, it wasn't far after the Vietnam War.
no,
So the
no,
joke,
wasn't a joke.
no, it was pretty serious for some
Yeah,
at the time. But yeah,
right, especially yeah, no,
I was going
um,
to say, yeah, there've been a lot of. I mean, even that actor who Eric Dane, this is the most recent one who passed away
dude,
from.
he's our age, he's 53.
I know, yeah, I know it.
He's solidly he was born in '72, so he's
And
born my
yeah,
year and
in San Francisco.
in San Francisco, so, yeah, I
Mhm.
mean, that of course, it was a disease, but, I mean, it's a disease I mean, think about it, he's not, like, a billionaire or anything, but, he's probably, was probably pretty well off when it happened and, it can sneak up on somebody like him, who probably has the means beyond what we have. But it was like, you heard about it not that long ago. It seemed like it was just a few months ago we found out that he had this and that he was fighting it and that he was deteriorating, and then all of a sudden, now he's
Yeah,
gone.
that's the problem with ALS. I think it was ALS he had, if I
It was
remember
LS.
correctly. Yeah, that's debilitates fast. Some
It
people
does
can get lucky and live a few years, but generally, it's
generally,
like
yeah.
within a year. And so
Wait,
that's
Even,
That's
with, James Vanderbeek passing away, it was something that my wife and I back this was in it was the late '90s or whatever when Dawson's Creek was on. I remember we watched that series, her and I together. It was just one of those things that we remember, and, he played a teenager. I doubt he was a teenager when the show was on, but it was
right.
still just one of those things where I remember that of 30 years ago of watching that with my wife, and it was something that we watched all the time, and, it's just one of those things that now looking at him as a guy our age and then finding out that he has cancer and, deteriorating away and then leaving his wife and kids. It's just one of those, it's a very humbling type thing to see.
Yeah. Well, and that's where I say this: seeing these go and happen. Again, a lot of them are in their 70s or 80s from that standpoint. Not so much Derek Danes or James Vanderbeek, which were younger than us, which, that's always sad to see. And
Right.
that's reality of everyday life out there, is that young people pass away from diseases, much younger than you would expect for anyone.
Right.
It just resets. And that's why it's always the nostalgia kicks in at that point.
Yeah.
You start thinking about everything that's going on, and God, I wish I'd done this or that. So it's always tough when you see those, and as you get older, you start to reflect a little bit more. So yeah, that's where the concept of like, damn, I wish I'd seen Journey, or man, I got to see Iron Maiden back in the '80s, so I'm good there. Like I got to
Right.
see them perform. I mean, I've seen them since, and
Right.
Guns N' Roses in the beginning. Like certain bands I followed when I was back in my teens. Obviously, a
Right.
lot of them I got to be able to see, but there were bands that I really truly learned to enjoy further as I got older, and never got a chance to see them while they were still at least out there. And obviously now I won't. So
Right.
it would be nice. Yeah. So that being said, let's switch gears. Let's try something else. So here's some news today, in case you haven't heard. The DHS, Department of Homeland Security, has decided to suspend all TSA pre-check and global, whatever that other one is. I always global entry as of
Fluid.
today. Yeah. So as of today, because there's the partial government shutdown, they decided that the TSA agents need to just focus on the overall public, and so they've cut off TSA pre-check and global entry, which people pay for, by the way.
I pay well,
Yeah.
my credit card company pays for it, but still, it's paid
Still,
for.
yeah, it's
Somebody
paid
pays
for,
for it.
and they're cutting that out because they need to focus on all the others. I'm like, oh, interesting.
I can
So,
understand that, but I'm glad I'm not traveling by air anytime soon because that would piss me off.
well, that brings up the other thing. There's that big northeastern blizzard that's about to come, and now you're cutting off stuff like this. On top of that, I mean, I'm waiting. It's unfortunate, and I'm laughing facetiously because it's there's going to be frustration. I would be frustrated is if suddenly you're going to make the process for me to even get through the gate more difficult already, and then on top of that, no doubt there's going to be. I mean, there's definitely going to be delays. I don't think there's any flights probably going to be happening over tonight and tomorrow on
Right.
that northeast because they're talking about something like a snow bomb, or I don't know what the term is. Or historic blizzard basically is about to shut down the northeast. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, that was announced today,
Wow.
and that's a bit of a travel shock, which actually reminded me, like, remember back in the '80s, like again, we used to go into the airports. Anybody could go in the airports. I mean, security back then was like, hell, I don't even remember what security really was back then.
It really
It wasn't
wasn't.
difficult. I mean, there was just a quick check. I think that was it. But you'd walk to a gate, and that's
So, like,
anybody could go.
Harry Met Sally is one of those movies that I watch during Christmas time, right? During the holidays. It's
Is it a holiday
it's
movie?
I don't know if it's
I'm curious if
would say,
it's
but I see it as, something that I watch during the holidays. I don't know if I would call it a holiday movie, to be honest. I think it's just because of the ending with New Year's and how it ends. I see it as something I'd like to watch during it, but I don't think I call it a holiday movie. Does
okay.
that make sense?
Yeah, I was just curious.
Yeah, no,
But anyway,
I don't
as
call
you
it
were
a holiday
saying,
movie. It's more, but there's this scene in there where Sally's boyfriend, I don't remember his name, is dropping her off at the airport, and it's just they're at the airport, and then there's even the one another rom com is the one Sleepless in Seattle. There's a whole
oh
airport
yeah, yep.
where he's dropping her off at the airport, and they're right at the gate. But yeah, I mean, it's that whole thing where, I don't remember because I don't think I actually I don't know when was the first time I took an airplane, but it wasn't in the '80s. I didn't take my first plane ride until, like, the '90s. Because even
Really? Oh
when I
yeah.
moved out to the Bay Area from Cleveland, I came out on the moving truck with my uncle. Well, it wasn't my uncle, it was my namesake.
Well, didn't you go back during a summer? Wasn't it through Greyhound or something like that?
Through Greyhound, yeah. So
Yeah.
I never flew. I don't remember flying until I don't know when it was, but it wasn't until in the '90s when I flew. So I don't remember how it was in the '80s. Only thing I have to go off of is movies. But whenever you see the movies, it doesn't look like there's any security. Like people can get up to the boarding gate and just get on the plane.
I mean, there was no security till 9/11.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really remember anything until then.
You
Or
don't
I mean,
remember
there had to
anything
be.
till 9/11? Is that what you're saying?
No, 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 security wise. But I didn't really fly back then. I think.
Dude, you were with me when we dropped my wife, who I was dating at the time, at the beginning of the 90s, off to the airport, her and her family. And we were at the gate, and her grandfather was like, hey, just
Yeah,
come along.
yeah.
Like, that was where we were at the gate. And he's like, hey, just jump on the plane with us. Like, because one of the family members hadn't shown up. So he
But
was like,
was there any? I mean, I thought that you didn't need it. I thought 9/11 changed it where you needed a ticket to get on the plane. But there was no security at all to get to the gates? There was no,
no,
like.
I think there was just a metal detector, but that was about it. But I don't think there was
Oh, yeah,
anything
yeah.
like dramatic. Like the bag, they didn't really scan bags. They didn't have you pull stuff off. They didn't make sure you had to have a ticket to cross in. Like that's where they
I
started
remember that,
limiting
yeah.
it to everything. But there was still some check. But to be honest with you, that's a good point. I started when you said you haven't flown a plane till like in the 90s. I started thinking, well, did I? And then I know I did once in the 80s, and that was because we were driving to Montana. The car broke down somewhere up in Elko, Nevada. My uncle was nice enough to pick us up and bring us to Montana, and we flew back from Montana because we had no car.
Okay.
So I remember
Okay.
flying then. I don't know if I flew anytime before that either. That would have been like mid to, yeah, I would have been about,
Was it high school?
yeah, it would have been high school. So yeah, like 87, 88. So yeah, you're right. Maybe we didn't fly much. Well, I know we didn't fly much, to be honest with you. We
Not at
didn't
all.
we didn't travel too far. It was mostly back during those days, travel was more specifically like camping, visiting family. Maybe we would drive up to Montana maybe a couple of times over the 20 years before the 90s.
Mhm.
And that was it. We weren't doing too much because, I mean, or maybe we'd go drive down to Disneyland. But even then, I think I only,
I was gonna say,
without
it was.
my daughter being born, was probably like 2 times. Oh, no, 3 times because we went for Niner games. We'd drive down to LA to watch the Niners play the Rams. That Monday night game when Montana hit John Taylor for 290-yard touchdown passes. I was at that game.
Yeah, yeah.
That's one I won't ever forget, by the way. But that's a fantastic game.
Yeah, I mean, aside from going to Cleveland, but every time I never went with my mom, I went with my grandmother the 2 times I went, and both times she didn't fly, she only took Greyhound, but yeah. I mean, the only other times I
Because she
believe.
didn't trust airplanes, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I just want
There's
people to
a
know.
lot of
Nana
things.
didn't trust
Yeah,
airplanes.
she
It's
didn't
fine.
trust a lot of things.
Yeah,
That was just Nana.
she's not wrong.
Yes, she is. Um,
God rest
but
her soul. No,
God rest her
she
soul,
was.
yeah,
She was.
whatever. But yeah, I mean, I think even for us, outside of Cleveland, Reno was the only other place we ever went to out of state. Everything else
Mhm.
was in California. Not like, I mean, I think we went to San Diego as a kid one time. I wanna say San Diego one time, even though I don't really have proof of that at this
Right.
point. But I think we went to San Diego for something, but yeah, all the other ones, like you said, was camping trips, it was Boy Scout stuff
Yeah.
or whatever,
All
but yeah,
local.
I think
Yeah.
all local, all within a 2-hour drive, which, I mean, with the size of California, it takes 10 hours, about 10 hours to get to San Diego, 8 to 10
Right.
hours depending upon traffic, because you do have to pass through LA. You can kinda try to go around it a little bit, but yeah, it's just weird when you think back at it, like, how little I mean, for me now, considering how much I travel, how little I actually traveled or how we traveled. Like you said, when we went to I didn't really go to Disneyland that much when I was a kid. I went to Disneyland more when your daughter was born, way
Right.
more. after that. But every time we did, it was, let's see how fast we can get to LA. And it was
Pretty
usually like
much.
6 hours. It just depended upon any traffic
It's
or
quicker
how
than that,
many
but it's fine.
minimal breaks.
Yeah.
We won't say that. Yeah. Especially in the battle van. I remember taking that one down there. That was a
Oh
fun
yeah.
trip.
Oh yes.
It was a van that really shouldn't have been gone above 80 at all, ever, and you were pushing it to 90 the whole time. Yeah.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, you don't remember that, yeah.
No, I don't remember that.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's interesting because now when I started thinking about it, obviously with our kids, we've definitely taken them on more trips when they were younger than we probably did ourselves,
Oh, yeah.
specifically like Disneyland and places like that. But you mentioned that, and I started to realize like most kids nowadays are, no, I wouldn't say most, many kids more probably have seen more travel activity, and maybe that was true back in the day when we were still in our 70s. I don't remember a lot of our friends saying, "Oh, I went traveled to like New York or something like that," like even just continental or something like that. So, but
Continental.
nowadays, what's that?
I was thinking of the airline because my sister-in-law worked for them.
Oh yeah,
Sorry, I was just thinking of Continental Airlines. Sorry, it just had
Pan Am, TWA, all those guys. But yeah, I don't think I'd left continental United States itself till I want to say back in like not until early 2000s, like went over maybe closer to 40 because I went to I've been to Montreal in Canada, I've been to Mexico, obviously. Hawaii was until the last like 15 years I finally got out to Hawaii. So yeah, maybe 40s or just before my 40s is when I finally got out. Whereas my kids have already been like,
Yeah.
Hawaii. They've been, well, my son's already traveled to Japan as part of school. My daughter's going to Japan coming up here soon. So is my other son's going to Japan coming up here soon. Pretty much everybody's going to Japan but me at this point.
Slacker.
And then
just go.
I know.
Just fucking go already. Just do it for a week.
But I'm just saying, either travel's gotten slightly easier to make these trips, or it's just more the mindset. I think people feel like it's good to get, like, I would recommend definitely enjoy your life and travel more.
Oh yeah.
When you're younger, because like we said, with people passing away, sometimes younger, sometimes older, or the loss of your parents and whatnot, like you just don't know. Like you can always push it off, like we have. Like I've pushed off plenty of things I've never done, and who knows if I'll still ever do them. But yeah, I'm a big recommender if you can do it because you got to live your life, have fun. Like we're not supposed to just be sitting 24/7, living in a world of where we were hunter gatherers historically, and that meant also
in a small area.
Yeah,
yeah,
and we were also explorers. I mean, that's the reality. There's the human mind is always supposed to be interested in what's out there, which led to a lot of exploration. But just sitting at home all day, or if you can't afford it, that's obviously an understandable scenario. But the reality is, if you have an opportunity to take it, you should take it. I guess is what
travel
I'm saying.
Is so much cheaper today. I mean, when you look at cost of travel, I mean, airline tickets are cheaper, and not to mention when you look at the cost of inflation, they should be a lot more expensive than they are today. So I mean, the costs are. But I also think the intimidation factor is to me gone. I mean, you can learn so much about a country and from different perspectives now on social media. You can go on Reels, TikToks, vlogs, on YouTube, and know everything there is about where you're going before you actually land, and go with a sense of just comfort. And then when you add in your a smartphone, I mean, I can't imagine anything being more powerful than having a smartphone when you travel. I mean, the difference than having a smartphone of what and I know some people will say, no, it's nothing's changed. There's a major comfort thing for most people. Like, look, I understand, like you said, if you're an adventurer and you're one of those people who can do it, that's great. But I think for a majority of people, a smartphone has been a game changer. I mean, there's GPS, there's ability to get around, there's the apps, there's the how do you pay for things? You use Google or Apple Pay, one of the two, or there's Uber-like services now. I mean, one of the biggest intimidating factors was getting around in a taxi. And now you go to all these countries and you don't have to know how to say the address. There's no confusion. You say the address, you find the address before you even get into it, and then when you get into it, it's not just knowing that you're getting to the location, it's you also know that you're not paying, you're not getting robbed by
Right.
somebody. There's a translations app. I mean, and it's getting to the point where, they have like the meta glasses that will read it back to you real time almost. It's not an exact perfect translation, but it's getting better, but it's still better than what you had 10 years ago. So yeah, I mean, I agree. And like, I think even going to Mexico in the past, I didn't see that as international travel. You know, even though it is technically, yes, I know, but going to TJ or something like that was not. It, it almost just it didn't really feel like you were really leaving the U.S. that much. It wasn't. It wasn't that major of a change. It was actually pretty easy, to be honest. But yeah, when I first really did my first major international travel was in 2019. Um, and I got hooked as soon as I did it. Like, and I think that's the other part to it is when you finally experience something like that, there's a little bit of that trepidation before you do it, but once you do it and you get to experience it, it's just you don't know what you're also going to like until you do it. Like I didn't think that I would have really liked international travel nearly like I do, but also I didn't expect it because I think you see how some people travel, you see how some people do things, and it's how they enjoy doing it, which is perfectly fine. But it's not until you go out there, like you with cruises or me with, walking around neighborhoods and in different countries. It's just you all of a sudden you find what you like and but you don't know it until you actually experience it.
Right.
Yeah, I think to your point is you have to go out and you have to try these things and experience it, to know what you're gonna like. But I think it's so accessible nowadays, just with everything, with the cost of it, um, and then again, the accessibility by having something like a smartphone and these different ways of being able to travel and move around just makes it so it takes away a lot of the stress and the unknown. So I think it makes it a lot easier. So it just opens up things that you may not have seen 20, 30 years ago.
Yeah, I think the opportunities it presents with today's structure, availability makes it much easier
Yeah.
for people to at least plan and hopefully do it. Where in the past, to your point, yeah, like there was less. I mean, there were a lot more airline names, but not less maybe international travel and so forth compared to today,
Mhm.
where pretty much everybody exists. There's a lot of crossover, and there's just a lot more types of opportunities. Cruise lines now exist, which take you internationally as well. If you want to do
Right.
those, um, yeah, there's just a lot of opportunity out there for people to kind of go and to your point, like Hawaii, I love Hawaii. Like I would move there in a heartbeat if I could, and I just want to live there quietly. Like I don't want to go out there and I just want to enjoy it for what it is, like the sense of peacefulness, quiet island that you can just enjoy and relax. Like we've talked about before. Am I a hermit? Maybe, kind of getting there. I don't know, but the point is, it's one of those things
Yeah.
where you don't know until you get there, and then you find like to you, your international travel. I mean, I love cruises, and I love Hawaii. I'm sure I'll enjoy. I enjoy anywhere I go, but I think part of why I tend to fall for it is because it's different and it changed the dynamic of what I'm used to. And
Oh,
so,
100%.
in many ways, that's like this is refreshing and new. This is what I want to do, and it's great
Totally.
until you do it, which I haven't done it, so I can't tell you if it's I've heard people who said this was great. They went and moved there and they're happy and it's perfect. And then there's others who moved there and realized no, it's not the way I really wanted after a few years. So but you have to try it to
But you
get
don't know.
there. Yeah, exactly. So
I think that's such a good point because, like, I think for years I always had that idea of, okay, living on, like, a farm or property or whatever. Now I actually wanna live in a city. And I mean, I think part of it is because I've always lived in a suburb. I've always lived in just a regular neighborhood where you had to drive, where,
mhm.
um, chain restaurants outnumbered local restaurants. It just was one of those things where it's just a very standard suburb type living where, there's not much to do, and then I think experiencing a city in the way that I did, especially when you look at how some of the Asian country cities are, um, it's just funny because you can almost be in a lot and I think it's probably one of the reasons why I do like Asian countries in terms of the city life there, is because you can almost be isolated even though there's, a few million people around you.
Yeah.
But it's a different type of setting. I think it's a setting more so than just saying city. I think, like, in the US, being to cities that people say are walkable or ones, that were how they try to translate. I think the only one that comes close to what I like is New York. And I'm not saying I would
Yes.
like to live in New York, but I think, like, people will talk
From a
about, like,
walkable
Seattle.
standpoint. Yeah.
Walkable, they'll talk about Seattle, they'll talk about I've seen Chicago, and I've been to each, and they don't there's no comparison. Like, the maybe for the US it is, um, but it's not a comparison to what I've seen elsewhere.
Well, it's
It's a
interpretation by
very
the
different.
person, though, right? Like
True,
what you
exactly, yeah,
consider walkable and someone else considers walkable are two different things. And so,
right,
from your view, maybe these aren't. For others, they are, and maybe reverse. They don't think the other ones are
right,
very walkable. I don't know. But yeah,
yeah,
you're right. You have it. It helps change your opinion to your point,
perspective,
like being from a
right.
suburb to a city. Now, I'll ask you this real quick. 'Cause we're coming up on time. A recent movie Brendan Fraser did called Rental Family. Have you seen that? It just came out on
Not
Disney
yet.
Plus
I actually
recently.
okay, maybe I was waiting for it to come out on streaming, so no, I actually really wanna see that because
S- I watched that.
yeah,
So
how
I
was it?
watched that the other night with my wife before she ended up going on a quick trip to LA. But it's fantastic.
Okay,
But part I liked most, I mean, it was really well done. The acting, just the whole concept of what they're doing and the storylines were great. But to me, the big thing that I come away with this a lot of times when I watch any of these type of films is just the structure of and the history behind the society itself. And a
mhm,
lot of the common elements that they still, stick to.
right.
Traditions is the word I'm trying to think of. But those sort of traditions that have been steeped in like thousands of years of tradition that they still stick to. And just, as I told my wife, I go, see, this is the difference between the US and, say,
I
Japan.
was gonna say, yeah,
Is US is 250 years old. Japan's been around for 1,000 years. So there's a lot of traditions that they built over their generations that we haven't built here. And of course, the U.S. is more of a melting pot, so there's different. It's a very more difficult. But that's why you don't see as much on certain traditions where you go to these foreign countries, Asian countries and whatnot, where tradition is steep, and
mm,
it's an enjoyable experience to watch. But it's a great movie. You should check it out.
I will. Yeah, it's something I really wanted to see. It looked really cool, and I'm glad
Yeah,
to see and again, kinda going to that whole thing of full circle with going back to the, people who have passed. I mean, fortunately, Brendan Fraser, has seen a resurgence. So he's kind of it's also kinda cool to see because you can kinda see there's a redemption arc that people our age, because in the '90s, Frasier was huge. I mean, With Honors is a great movie.
I don't think a lot of
It's
people know
awesome.
that one, but yes, I love that movie. I
I
agree with
love
you.
that movie. That's one of my
Most people think of him with the Mummy series, which, by the way, they announced the fourth one they're making.
the 4th one.
Yep.
But I would put With Honors above the Mummy series. I mean, Mummy series, I mean, I shouldn't say above because they're different, but in terms of
School
ones
Ties is
that I like,
another one I thought was fantastic with
School
him.
Ties is another great one, yeah. Um, but it's, after hearing how, the last 20 years or whatever it was went for him, to see him kinda come back and, the public embracing him again, is really cool to see. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well,
But yeah, no,
I
I'll
agree.
have to take a look at that. I'll have to watch that.
Nice. All right, everybody. Well, I hope everybody enjoyed this week's talk. It's another fun episode. Obviously, the Olympics are over, so that was a lot of fun. But we'll see how the rest of this year goes, especially with the World Cup coming up. That we'll have a lot, I'm sure, to talk about, and we'll probably do a live watch and talk one time with Len so he can understand what the hell he's watching.
I actually do. I gotta learn more about soccer. I've always wanted to. So,
Excellent. All right. Well, everybody have a great week. We'll be back next weekend. Hope you enjoyed the show. Continue to follow, like, subscribe, even share with many others. We enjoy it, and we will be back. Take
see ya.
care.